Welcome back to another episode of the Moneyball Cards podcast. It's number 14. I'm here with my good friend Jordan from Sports Card Analytics. And today we're going to be looking at some baseball stats. So last episode, we looked at the box score for basketball and kind of showed you guys a little bit different. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, for NBA prospecting, I went into what I looked for on just the average box score that you can see on ESPN or Bleacher Report or whatever, and I do a dive of what I look for prospects and how I try to make money off those guys. So if you want to check that out, that'll be the previous episode.
Yeah, and today I'm going to be doing that with baseball. I'm going to show you guys one stat that is probably your best stat to look at for a box score in general for a baseball player. Not a super advanced stat, but there's ways to make it that way. And it's way, way better than just looking at a player if they hit hits, doubles, triples, home runs, their RBIs, and their batting average. One of the stats I absolutely look at for all players before I even decide to buy their card or not. And speaking of cards, I wanted to show you guys a pickup I did. So last weekend, I finished show number 52 this year in Birmingham, Alabama, and I picked up this really cool Ben Franklin card from my friend John. And this card, I don't know too much about. So the borders on it, which I'll show you guys a little bit closer here, they remind like a T205 card, how they have the gold in it. But the picture also kind of looks like it's from late 1800s. I couldn't really find this card documented anywhere, whether it's trading card database or PSA. And I talked to a few of my friends who are much more knowledgeable than I am on the pre-war and colonial side of things, and they don't know either. So it's probably an unmarked issue of a card or just didn't go through its second round of printing. It is French on the back. You can see it over here, but really cool card. I'm going to add this into my PC. Maybe I'll have to get it graded to see if any of the grading companies know a little bit more information. How about yourself?
So if you guys been watching this channel regularly, you would know that I like to pick up just some random things like Digimon cards, different Pokemon cards, comic books, graded comic books, and stuff like that. And since Ryan showed off his book that he's autographing in the previous episode, which is Spotting Fakes, go check that out on Amazon if you want to get a copy. I have another random thing. It's autographed by my favorite rapper. This is NF, his mixtape Clouds. I got this for $8 and it is selling for about 20 on eBay. So I could easily flip this if I wanted to. Just a different thing. Music. There are music cards out there if you want to check those out. There's all kinds of different things that you can put your money in as a collector or investor that you can make money off of. It doesn't just have to be sports cards. So I like to be a nerd and random. So just wanted to show that one off.
I'll be honest, I don't know one of his songs, but that autograph, man, that seems like it's so easy. Just
just NF, yeah.
like I get you want to sign super fast with all that, but man, make it a little bit more complicated. Forger just goes boom, done.
Right. Yeah, I hope I get to that point where I can just sign a bunch really quickly. I'll have to shorten my autograph. I don't know how you're doing yours, Ryan. Is yours quick?
No, it's not. I'm gonna sign my full name. So 100 copies of that sitting down there and writing the full Ryan Nolan on those ones.
So get a copy of Spotting Fakes with the autograph while the autograph is long, because Ryan's going to be shortening it as his career progresses.
I'm just going to scribble. I'm going to put like a check mark. But yeah, so this week I wanted to take a look at baseball, and I'm going to share my screen and go on a website that I really, really like using, which is called Baseball Reference. So I'm going to do that right now so you guys can see it. When you go to Baseball Reference, you see all these stats over here. One stat I've talked about numerous times on the channel is wins above replacement or also WAR. I'll talk about it more in detail in a full another video, but this kind of shows you the production value of a player in general between offensively, defensively, and also what they do on like the base paths. But you can see someone like Joey Gallo, and in the past, people would analyze stats and look at primarily batting average, like home runs, RBIs. And if you look at his batting average, it's a 199. And you're going to find a lot of people will be like a 199 batting average. Joey Gallo is awful. He's another Chris Davis. Or Joey Gallo, 199 batting average. He shouldn't be in the major leagues. He can hit home runs, but he's not worth it. But you can see his WAR over here is 4.7. So he's well above a replacement level player, which those are between 1 and 2 WAR. He's at 4.7. So very, very good player. And the reason for that is he's good defensively, and there's more offensive metrics than just looking at batting average. So 38 home runs obviously helps quite a bit. But the stat I wanted to take a look at today to show you guys the full picture is something called OPS. And OPS is based off of the addition of two stats, which is on base percentage and slugging percentage. So on base percentage over here, that's pretty much how often someone gets on base. Now, the difference between your batting average over here and your on base percentage is on base percentage also includes how often you walk, getting hit by pitch, versus when you only include your batting average, that's hits per at bat. So you can see over here, Joey Gallo, his batting average is 199, which a lot of people would say awful, horrible player. But on the other hand, his OBP is 351. So this tells me that Joey Gallo has a really, really good eye at the plate and can get on base a lot more often than if it's a hit. Now you have to look at it from the side of value on a baseball team. If someone can get on base, if it's a single, is there more value in whether it's a walk or if he gets on base from a hit? Obviously, if players are on base, that's going to make an impact on the game. But if he can still reach to first base without getting out, there is a lot of value there. And that's why I like OBP better than batting average. Now, on the other hand of things, slugging percentage shows you pretty much how many bases a player gets. So you can look at the calculation over here for it is total bases, which you add up your singles, doubles, triples, and home runs, and you divide it by at bats, and you get a number here as well. Now, a good OBP, or I should say like a great OBP in general, is 370, good, about 350 range. So Joey Gallo has a good OBP. Slugging percentage wise, like you want to be around 500. He's at 458. Now, OPS is the combination of both slugging percentage and OBP. If you want to get to that like all-star level player, you want to have like about our 825 OPS. Gallo's at 808. So it shows you he's pretty close over there. And like the insane MVPs, you're looking at 900. So I'll show you guys Juan Soto stats in a little bit later. Now there's another stat, not on all box scores, but it takes a look at the average OPS in the league, and that is OPS plus. So if a player is above 100 on OPS plus, that means they're performing above and better than league average. So you can see Joey Gallo is a 121 OPS. So if you're looking at just the stats in general, a lot of people and a lot of collectors are going to look at that batting average 199 and say Gallo is not good, but the OPS shows a different story at 121. So Juan Soto, one of the best players that way, you can see over here his OPS is a 1,000, which means he has an OPS plus of 175. I don't think you guys realize how good that is. OBP wise, 465. And we talk about players batting 400, but a 465 OP is, I mean, it's really good. And the slugging percentage at 534. So Juan Soto is a perfect example of a player that has a really, really good OPS, and that's because he has a high OBP and a high slugging percentage. Juan Soto can hit for power, and he's also has a really good eye at the plate. So that why he's favored with OPS. And maybe wondering like, where would Barry Bonds stand over here? So Barry Bonds, got walked quite a bit in the early 2000s. So you can see career-wise, hit a 1.05 OPS and a 182 OPS plus. Video game numbers, guys. 444 OBP and a 607 slugging percentage. It's absolutely incredible with that one. And again, it shows you more of a picture than that 298 batting average, because now you can look at if they make it on base, you can also look at how many bases they make, and then a combination of both of them and standardizing it for league average. So don't look at batting average when you're looking at a player to whether invest in or just buy for your fantasy or put on your fantasy baseball team. Look at a stat like OPS or OPS plus. Another player in the hobby that would get favored a lot more if people looked at OPS or OPS plus is Joey Votto. So a lot of people are going to look at his stats, and he's 65 WAR, so about average on that if he's going to make the Hall of Fame or not. But you look at career wise, he had an OPS of 937 and an OPS plus of 148. I think you factor in his wins above replacement, you factor in his OPS plus, still has over 300 home runs and 2,000 hits. He'll make the Hall of Fame one day. Probably needs a few more years just to pad those stats a little bit for some of those older voters that aren't going to look at more advanced numbers or advanced metrics and are stuck looking at like batting average and RBIs, different things like that. But Joey Votto is one of those players that really, really benefits from looking at OPS and OPS plus.
What I've learned from all this is do not play fantasy baseball with Ryan. If he invites you to a money league, he is going to hustle you. So Ryan, how have you done with fantasy baseball in the past?
Yeah, when I used to play, when I had free time, I pretty much won every single year. The one year I did not win, I was undefeated in the regular season, undefeated in the playoffs, and I lost by a few points in the championship, which I still regret to this day. But I usually win.
So lesson learned. And when you were talking about the all these on base percentage and everything like that, I was getting like flashbacks to when I watched the movie Moneyball. Like you were literally starting to look like Brad Pitt. Like it just sounded just like the movie. So
Sign me up for Hollywood, man.
yeah. We can definitely take these concepts and apply it to cards and prospecting. It's not just about team building. You can literally build your own team, not just a fantasy team or an actual baseball team, but you can build your team, which is your collection, and that's what we're trying to show you guys.
Yeah, and just like I was saying, stats evolve over time. In the past, people look at batting average, RBIs, and home runs for what was called the Triple Crown, but there's so many better stats out there that look at a player and evaluate them. And having that extra knowledge is going to make you more money with your collection or help you win in fantasy baseball, which I guess if you're paying for money, also helps you make more money.
And I'll be honest, when I'm looking up my baseball rookies that I like to look at, like Brian Hayes this past year and guys like that, I go straight to the home runs. I want to know if they hit a home run in that box score. And then I look at the average. I want to know how they, their hits to their at bats. And maybe I'll look at walks and strikeouts. But I just kind of keep it simple. And I guess I should be looking at those other averages on the regular box score, like a Bleacher Report box score. It does have OPS and all the on base percentage and all that. And I just kind of didn't really understand them. And as a analytics person, I guess I should have looked into them more, but it just wasn't my sport. So I just looked at home runs and the simple stuff. And this was something good to learn.
All right. So I wanted to show real quick Hayes and Bohm, because those are kind of like the two top players people were hyping up this season. Oh, I should put Jazz also, just so people can see. So I was going to put Bobby Witt at first, but I was just going to show you guys the rookies of this year. Sorry, let's go through them. Hayes, look at this, 87 OPS plus, which means he's below league average. Again, he's a rookie, but he's also almost turning 25 years old. So do you want to buy a 25-year-old that's already below OPS plus league wise? Don't think so. Boom, 25 years old, OPS plus of 75. So even worse than Hayes. Again, older prospect. You're going to take that risk. And then Jazz. So Jazz is going to be 24 years old, has an OPS plus of 96. So all three guys that have been hyped up in the hobby by countless amount of people are all under a 100 OPS plus, which means they're below league average.
All right. So since you have these guys pulled up, you got to look up for me, Wander Franco and Luis Robert. I do have a lot of money in these guys. So I'm curious.
Luis Robert, 155. So any day of the week, I would sell all those players and put that into Luis Robert. 155 over there. Career wise, 132. He is older at age 24, but so are those other guys. I personally like investing in young guys like Wander Franco, who's 20. And if you want to take a look at Wander, where is he at over here? 130 OPS plus. By the way, that's at age 20. that's not at age 24, 25 when you develop more and have had a lot more experience.
All right,
Wander's the real deal.
As soon as we're done with this episode, I'm gonna list all of my Brian Hayes and put it all.
I would list his
Yeah.
stuff and I would put it into someone like Franco or Luis Robert because I'd rather put Franco than Luis Robert, but the upside on Franco long-term is higher based off of his stat production at the age of 20. A lot of players take a few years to develop, and coming out of the gate that early already at that really, really good. And just for example, if you guys want to see Trout career-wise and everything like that, career-wise, Trout has a 176 OPS plus as well. So you guys can kind of see where like that elite level is and where those levels slower down. Cabrera, so you guys can see that as well. For Miguel Cabrera, he is at 145 OPS plus for his career. And then Pujols for career-wise is 144. So Wander Franco at 129 rookie year, looking really good. Luis Robert at 155 this last season. I think he was hurt though, a big portion of last season, but he still had a career-wise of like 120 or 130. Let me just load that back up over here so you guys can see it. Luis Robert. Yeah, he still had 130 overall. I mean, he only has pretty much a season worth of stats because of his injuries and when he got called up, but like he's on the right track. Another guy I just want to show real quick because he got on base quite a lot in the early 2010s, Jose Altuve. So you can see even his like OPS plus career wise is 125, and Franco's has a 129 rookie year already. Not a lot of data yet for Franco. Obviously, he did extremely well in the minor leagues. Got caught up late at end of the season, but 129 rookie year is really, really good. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Moneyball Cards podcast. If you liked some of the charts and the data that was provided, I used Baseball Reference for the baseball data, and I used a tool called Market Movers. It's created by the team over at Sports Card Investor. We have a 20% off discount coupon. If you want to use that to look at your sports card values, use code Moneyball on that. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you next week with 2 brand new episodes. Thank you guys for everything in 2021, and see you in 22.